Okay, as we begin chapter 4 this week, we're looking at the types of societies that exist and some of the social issues relative to societies. So this chapter is divided into 3 sections, the first of which is the types of societies. We'll be looking at the differences between the pre-industrial, industrial, and post-industrial societies, understanding the role of environment on pre-industrial societies, and looking at how technology impacts social development. The second section of the chapter gives us a theoretical perspective on society, and it begins with a focus on the work of Emile Durkheim, who is so influential in terms of the sociology that we understand today, whether his work on economy, his work on suicide, looking at the issue of social integration, particularly as Durkheim understood the role that the individual played in larger social groups and society itself. Just a really key sociologist for us to look at in terms of his what's called the functionalist perspective of sociology. We then go into the conflict views of society, and specifically we look at the work of Karl Marx and his notions of class conflict, alienation, which can occur in the workplace, in which a worker feels a disconnect from his or her work and the organization. And then we'll look finally at the symbolic interactionists and how they view society. So what you can see in this section is what I mentioned in a previous video. We keep coming back to the 3 major theories of sociology, and we reuse those, reapply them in these new cases, in this case in chapter 4 on society. Now, the final section of this chapter 4 is focused on the social construction of reality. It goes back to a very famous book over 40 years ago by Berger and Luckman called The Social Construction of Reality. So we'll understand why this is an important concept. We'll look at the sociological issue of roles and discuss their place in people's everyday social lives and forms of interaction. And we'll finally focus on how individuals present themselves and perceive themselves in terms of this notion of a social context relative to the social construction of reality. By the way, if you've seen or read the work of Plato's Cave or seen some of the videos relative to the social construction of reality, then I think you might already be familiar with this concept. So be sure to look at any of the supplemental information I've included this week, because certainly in terms of the social construction of reality, it's a somewhat abstract concept, and we just want to be sure that we have it down here in this chapter 4 of Introduction to Sociology.